The build-up to this match grows more intense with every passing moment as Selhurst Park transforms into a cauldron of noise and expectation. Supporters have been arriving since early afternoon, eager to witness a clash that promises physical battles, quick transitions and emotional swings. The sky above the stadium begins to dim as the floodlights take full command, creating a dramatic stage for what is coming. Crystal Palace approach this match with confidence. Their recent performances have shown organisation and sharp counter-attacking play, which perfectly suits the energy of this home crowd. Richards and Lacroix have been central to their defensive stability, while Kamada and Wharton offer calm control in midfield. The real excitement among the fans comes from the attacking trio as Sumaleta and Pino stretch the pitch with pace and clever movement. During warm-up, Palace players look relaxed but fully focused, sending a signal that they are ready to dictate early momentum. Manchester United arrive with their own ambitions. The pressure on their squad is noticeable as Fernandes leads animated discussions with his teammates during preparation. Casemiro stands tall in midfield as the anchor for their structure, while Mount searches for pockets of space to unlock Palace lines. Diallo and Mbeumo bring creativity and unpredictability on the wings, and many fans believe their speed could trouble the Palace defence. Young defender Euro and experienced De Ligt complete the United line at the back, with Lamans ready to prove himself in goal. Both fan bases fill the stadium with clashing chants. Palace supporters sing with rhythmic force, trying to overwhelm the visiting section, while United fans respond with their own confident songs. The energy bouncing between the stands sets the tone long before the first whistle. Tactically, the build-up suggests an exciting contest. Palace look prepared to press aggressively when United try to build from the back. Their full-backs Munoz and Mitchell have been practicing high positioning in warm-ups, indicating an intent to stretch the field wide and support the attack. United appear focused on maintaining possession, controlling the tempo and finding Fernandes in advanced spaces. Casemiro plays a vital role in reading Palace counters, while Shaw and Dalot prepare to manage the speed of Sarr and Pino. The referee completes final checks as both starting 11s gather in the tunnel. Players shake arms, stretch legs and share final nods. Coaches deliver the last quiet instructions. The tension is almost touchable now. Fans rise to their feet, sensing that the game is seconds away. The build-up reaches its peak as both teams get ready to walk onto the pitch under roaring noise and bright lights. The stage is set and kickoff is moments away. The match is moments away from beginning and the tension inside Selhurst Park rises dramatically as the players make their way out of the tunnel. The roar from the stands grows louder with every step they take toward the pitch. Crystal Palace emerge first wearing confident expressions and feeding off the energy of their supporters. Richards leads the line with calm focus while Kameda and Wharton walk side by side exchanging determined looks. Pino and Sarr appear charged up ready to unleash their pace and spark the home crowd into early celebration. Manchester United follow closely behind, greeted by a mixture of noise from both sets of fans. Fernandes steps onto the pitch with his usual commanding presence, rallying his teammates as he moves forward. Casemiro looks composed with his eyes fixed on the centre of the field, ready for the midfield battle ahead. Diallo and Mbeumo look sharp as they jog into their positions, focused on stretching the Palace defence from the opening minute. The stadium lighting glows brightly across the freshly cut grass as both teams line up for the final pre-match rituals. The referee checks his watch while assistants take their spots along the touchline. Players shake arms and settle into their formations. Conversations grow quieter as concentration takes over and fans rise to their feet, sensing the kickoff is seconds away. The referee blows the whistle and the match begins with a burst of noise around Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace immediately push forward with confidence as Wharton collects the first touch and sends the ball wide toward Pino, who looks eager to test the Manchester United back line. The Palace crowd erupts with early encouragement, urging their players to set the tempo from the opening seconds. Manchester United respond calmly as Casemiro steps in with his first interception of the match, cutting off a quick pass through the middle. He cushions the ball toward Fernandes, who scans the pitch before releasing a short pass to Mount. United attempt to slow the game down and feel the rhythm, but Palace pressure arrives quickly, with Geni closing the space and forcing Mount backward. Pino makes the first attacking move of the match as he glides past Shaw on the right flank. He pushes the ball forward with pace and delivers a low cross into the penalty area. De Ligt reacts, instantly sliding in to clear the danger before Sarr can reach it. The Palace fans applaud loudly, sensing early confidence from their attacking line. United fire back with their first attacking sequence. Fernandes receives the ball in midfield and pivots sharply away from Kameda. He threads a clever pass toward Diallo on the right. Diallo takes a clean touch and tries to cut inside toward the box, but Mitchell stands firm, blocking his advance and winning possession for Palace. The home crowd roars in approval. Play shifts quickly back the other way as Wharton sends a long ball over the top for Maleta. He races between Euro and De Ligt, but Lamens rushes out of his penalty area and clears with a powerful kick. United breathe a sigh of relief as that moment nearly opened a clear chance. The match begins to settle into a fast open rhythm with both teams pushing aggressively. The midfield battles intensify as Kamada and Casemiro clash for control. Fernandes keeps drifting between the lines searching for spaces while Pino and Sarr continue stretching the pitch wide for Palace. Every ball is contested and every touch is followed by loud reactions from the stands. Crystal Palace win the first corner of the match after Munoz overlaps on the right and forces Dalot to knock the ball behind. Kamada jogs over to take the set piece as Palace fill the penalty area with bodies. The crowd rises sensing a possible breakthrough, but United organise themselves quickly with De Ligt directing the defensive line. The early minutes show fierce determination from both sides. Palace look sharp, dangerous and eager to use their pace, while United show composure and tactical discipline, trying to create openings through Fernandes and Mount. The match is already shaping up to be a fast, physical and intense battle as the first minutes continue to unfold. Three minutes into the match and the ball is being shared almost equally between Crystal Palace and Manchester United, with both teams showing strong intent but neither gaining a clear dominance yet. Palace move with purpose on the wings as Pino and Sarr make early probing runs, testing United's defensive positioning, while Wharton and Kamada orchestrate passing sequences in midfield to create space. Richards and Lacroix remain alert at the back, carefully monitoring the movements of Diallo and Bumo, ensuring that no gaps appear too early. Manchester United respond with patience, keeping the ball in midfield as Casemiro controls the tempo and Fernandes looks for pockets of space between Kamada and Geni. Mount drifts from the right side toward the centre, trying to link with Diallo or Bumo, while De Ligt and Euro stay composed, ready to react to any sudden Palace thrust. The early exchanges are sharp and competitive, with both sets of players pressing intensely whenever possession is lost, showing that neither side is willing to concede ground. The crowd senses the balanced tension, with Palace supporters urging their team to push forward and the United fans responding with rhythmic chants to encourage possession play. Every pass is carefully watched, every movement met with anticipation, and the game at this stage feels like a true 50-50 battle where the slightest mistake or moment of brilliance could shift momentum. At the start of the match, both Crystal Palace and Manchester United have lined up in a similar formation that can be described as 3 defenders at the back, for a cross midfield, 2 attacking midfielders, and 1 central striker. For Crystal Palace, the defensive trio consists of Richards, Munoz, and Wharton, providing both stability and mobility in the back. Lacroix and Kamada sit slightly ahead, forming a midfield shield alongside Geni and Mitchell, offering both defensive coverage and options to launch attacks. Sarr and Maleta operate just behind Pino, who leads the line as the central striker, ready to capitalize on spaces created by the supporting players. Manchester United mirror this setup. At the back, De Ligt, Lammens, and Euro form the defensive base, supported by Dalot and Shaw, who are capable of pushing forward when possession allows. Casemiro anchors midfield with Fernandes joining Mount and Diallo to maintain control and create passing lanes. Bumo and Euro occupy the advanced midfield positions, feeding the central striker, who in this case is also Euro. Nine minutes into the match and the score remains 0-0, with both teams still feeling each other out. The game continues to be highly balanced, reflecting the mirrored 3-4-2-1 formations each side deployed. Crystal Palace look lively on the wings with Pino and Sarr attempting early runs behind the Manchester United fullbacks. Their movement is creating small pockets of space, but the United back three of De Ligt, Lammens, and Euro remain disciplined, covering well and communicating constantly to maintain a compact defensive shape. Richards and Munoz also track the runs diligently, ensuring Palace do not leave gaps at the back. In midfield, Kamada and Geni are busy pressing Fernandes and Casemiro, trying to slow United's build-up and force them into hurried decisions. United respond with measured ball circulation, Casemiro acting as the pivot to distribute passes to Mount, Diallo, and Fernandes. United are trying to use their width, with Dalot and Shaw pushing slightly higher, but Palace midfielders quickly collapse to close passing lanes, making it difficult for United to break through centrally. The opening exchanges have featured a series of short sprints, sharp passes, and tight defensive interventions. Palace have had a couple of threatening moments as Sarr and Maleta combine with Pino on the right, but each time United's defenders step up at the right moment. On the other side, Fernandes has tried to create openings with diagonal passes toward Diallo, yet Palace's backline has been alert, cutting out potential through balls. The crowd is fully engaged, sensing that the first goal could arrive at any moment. Both sets of players are showing energy and tactical awareness, maintaining high intensity despite the early stage of the match. While it remains 0-0, the tone is set for a competitive and tightly contested battle, where small moments of individual brilliance or lapses in concentration could prove decisive. The next few minutes look crucial as both teams seek to assert control and create the first meaningful chance. 12 minutes into the match and the scoreboard still reads 0-0, but the game is already unfolding as a highly tactical and dynamic contest. Both teams continue to demonstrate the balance inherent in their similar formations, which has led to a midfield-heavy battle where transitions and positional awareness are key. Crystal Palace have shown early intent through their wide players. Pino and Sa remain active on the flanks, constantly probing and looking to stretch the Manchester United defence. Their pace and movement are forcing the United fullbacks, Shaw and Dalot, to stay alert and maintain a disciplined line, preventing dangerous spaces from opening in behind. In central areas, Kamada and Geni are actively pressing Fernandes and Casemiro, attempting to disrupt United's rhythm and prevent easy circulation of the ball. Palace are clearly emphasising structured pressing, with each midfielder ready to step up and close down passing lanes, while the back three of Richards, Munoz, and Wharton stay compact, shifting laterally to cover potential gaps. Lacroix positions himself carefully to intercept crosses and respond to any diagonal balls aimed at Mount or Diallo. Manchester United, on the other hand, are showing patience in possession. Casemiro is acting as a central pivot, switching play and controlling tempo while Fernandes drifts between the lines to create passing options. Mount and Diallo are instructed to find spaces between Palace's midfield and defensive lines, and United are carefully probing the flanks, hoping to exploit moments when Palace push their wide defenders forward. Their possession is measured and composed, with each build-up aimed at creating a numerical advantage in certain zones of the pitch. Despite the scoreline being level, the match has featured several small but telling battles. Palace have had moments where Pino and Sar's combinations nearly broke through, testing United's defensive awareness, while United's passing sequences through Casemiro and Fernandes have repeatedly tested Kamada and Geni's positioning. The game remains high intensity, with both teams showing commitment in duels, quick recoveries when possession is lost, and tactical discipline. Fans on both sides are fully engaged, chanting and reacting to every move, creating a charged atmosphere that mirrors the close nature of the contest. At this stage, the match is defined less by goal-scoring opportunities and more by strategic positioning, pressing patterns, and control of key spaces. Palace are emphasising quick transitions and exploiting width, while United focus on ball retention, patience, and exploiting diagonal runs. The balance of play continues to swing moment to moment, making it clear that the next breakthrough will likely come from a small lapse in concentration or a moment of individual quality. The match remains a compelling, tightly contested battle of tactics and intensity, with both sides still searching for that opening goal. "16 minutes into the match and the score remains 0-0, but the intensity and pace continue to rise as both teams settle into their rhythm. Crystal Palace have been maintaining a slightly higher tempo on the wings, with Pino and Sa constantly looking to stretch the United defence and create space for Maleta to exploit. The back three of Richards, Munoz, and Wharton remain disciplined, shifting together to prevent United from finding gaps, while Lacroix and Kamada act as a bridge between defence and attack, ready to launch counters at a moment's notice. Geni provides defensive cover in midfield, intercepting passes and slowing United's attempts to build through the centre. Manchester United continue to circulate the ball patiently, with Casemiro orchestrating play from a deep position and Fernandes moving fluidly between the lines to link with Mount and Diallo. The wide duo of Dalot and Shaw push forward selectively, aiming to stretch Palace's compact formation without leaving dangerous spaces behind. Bumo and Euro are alert in advanced midfield positions, looking for any opportunity to exploit Palace's defensive gaps, but Palace's early pressing has limited clear chances for United. The first 16 minutes have showcased a battle of tactical discipline rather than clear-cut chances. Palace are effective at closing passing lanes, particularly in the central areas, and their transitions are quick when possession is regained. United, meanwhile, are patient, probing slowly for weaknesses, testing Palace's defensive organisation with diagonal balls and movement from their attacking midfielders. The crowd remains fully engaged, responding with chants and cheers at every promising move. Although the match is still goalless, it is evident that both teams are committed to imposing their style of play. Palace rely on pace and compactness, United on possession and calculated movement. Every duel in midfield and every challenge on the wings feels crucial, as the balance could tip at any moment. The match remains tightly contested, with the opening goal likely to come from a moment of individual skill, a well-timed run, or a lapse in defensive concentration. "19 minutes into the match and the scoreboard still shows 0-0, but the game has developed into a tense tactical duel with both sides asserting themselves in different ways. Crystal Palace continue to focus on exploiting the flanks. Pino and Sa remain highly active, making probing runs behind the United fullbacks, while Maleta looks to find space between the lines to receive passes from Kameda or Wharton. The defensive trio of Richards, Munoz, and Wharton maintain a compact structure, communicating constantly to anticipate United's diagonal balls and through passes. Lacroix and Kameda stay alert in the central zones, ready to disrupt United's rhythm and launch quick counters whenever the opportunity arises. Manchester United remain patient, circulating possession through Casemiro and Fernandes, who are key in dictating the tempo and identifying gaps in Palace's setup. Mount drifts between the lines looking for pockets of space, while Diallo and Bumo attempt to stretch Palace wide, creating movement that could eventually pull defenders out of position. Shaw and Dalot are mindful of the Palace wingers, ensuring that space behind the fullbacks is not easily exploited. The match so far has seen neither side able to gain clear dominance, but the intensity is evident. Palace press effectively whenever United lose the ball, while United's midfielders are disciplined in their positioning, limiting Palace's options in the final third. Small duels in midfield have been fiercely contested, with Geni and Kameda breaking up United's build-up while Casemiro shields the defence and recycles possession efficiently. The crowd senses that the opening goal could come from any moment, as both teams are probing patiently but with intent. Palace rely on rapid transitions and wing play, United on possession and controlled build-up through the middle. Both sets of players appear alert and focused, aware that the next breakthrough could define the match. At 19 minutes, the game remains a tactical and balanced contest, with both sides testing each other without yet yielding a scoring opportunity. "22 minutes into the match and the score remains 0-0, but the game is steadily building in intensity and tactical intrigue. Crystal Palace continue to press in midfield, with Kameda and Geni actively closing down Fernandes and Casemiro whenever possession is lost. Their pressing has slowed down United's attempts to create early patterns through the centre, forcing the Red Devils to rely on the flanks for progressive passes. Pino and Sa remain lively on the wings, exchanging quick passes with Maleta and attempting to make runs behind Dalot and Shaw, but United's back three of De Ligt, Lamans, and Euro remain alert, covering each other effectively. United are showing patience, moving the ball with measured control through Casemiro and Fernandes. Mount looks to link play in pockets of space, while Diallo and Bumo provide width and stretch the Palace defensive shape. Shaw and Dalot occasionally push forward, but both are cautious due to Palace's high pressing and disciplined wing coverage. Each attack is met with intelligent positioning from Palace's backline and midfielders, who are quick to intercept passes and block any potential penetration. The match has featured a series of intense midfield battles, with both sides contesting every ball. Palace have tried to exploit United's slightly deeper line through quick diagonal balls and early crosses, while United remain methodical, recycling possession and waiting for a moment to exploit space between Palace's defensive lines. The first 22 minutes have showcased defensive awareness, pressing discipline, and tactical organisation on both sides rather than any clear-cut goal opportunities. The crowd remains engaged, sensing that the opening goal could arrive with any sudden moment of brilliance. Both teams are maintaining their structure and discipline, making it difficult for either side to dominate. The match continues to feel like a balanced contest where small errors or individual skill could finally break the deadlock. At 22 minutes, it is a battle of patience, intensity, and tactical acuity with neither side giving an inch. "25 minutes into the match and the scoreline remains 0-0, but the intensity and tactical complexity of the game continue to grow. Crystal Palace are gradually finding more rhythm on the wings, with Pino and so repeatedly attempting to stretch the Manchester United defence and create space for Maleta in central areas. Kamada and Geni remain industrious in midfield, pressing Fernandes and Casemiro aggressively whenever the ball is lost. This high-intensity pressing has forced United into a more cautious build-up, limiting their early creative opportunities. Richards, Munoz, and Wharton stay well organised at the back, shifting laterally to close passing lanes and protect their defensive shape, while Lacroix provides an additional layer of security against potential diagonal balls or through passes. Manchester United continue to rely on patient possession, trying to manipulate the Palace formation and draw defenders out of position. Fernandes drops between the lines to receive the ball, while Mount and Diallo oscillate between central and wide positions, probing for gaps. Casemiro's role as a pivot has been crucial, distributing the ball efficiently and attempting to control the tempo despite the relentless Palace pressing. Shaw and Dalot cautiously push forward to offer width, but Palace's backline and midfield pairing are quick to neutralise threats and force clearances. The first 25 minutes have highlighted the balanced nature of the contest, with neither team able to establish dominance. Palace's approach has been proactive, relying on pace, pressing, and exploiting spaces behind the fullbacks. United, in contrast, maintain composure and structure, patiently waiting for a moment to unlock Palace's defence with clever passing and movement. The atmosphere in Selhurst Park is electric, with fans on both sides reacting to every challenge and every possession change. The match remains a tactical chess game, where small mistakes or flashes of individual brilliance could tip the balance. At 25 minutes, it is clear that the opening goal could come from a sudden counter-attack, a precise run into space, or a moment of creativity from Fernandes or Mount. Both teams are alert, disciplined, and ready for the first real breakthrough. "28 minutes into the match and the score remains 0-0, but Manchester United's defensive organisation has been particularly impressive so far. The Red Devils' back three of De Ligt, Lammens, and Euro are disciplined and composed, rarely allowing Crystal Palace attackers to find dangerous positions inside the box. Richards, Munoz, and Wharton are testing them with quick runs and diagonal balls, but United's defenders read the game well, intercepting passes and maintaining a tight, compact shape that limits spaces for Palace to exploit. Shaw and Dalot are disciplined in tracking Pino and Sarr's movements, preventing wide overloads and ensuring the flanks are well covered. Palace continue to look lively and committed, with Kamada and Geni trying to win the midfield battle and launch transitions as quickly as possible. Pino and Sarr remain active on the wings, combining with Maleta and attempting to force errors from the United defensive line. Despite Palace's energy and speed, United's defenders are neutralising early threats with timely challenges, clearances, and intelligent positioning, making it difficult for Palace to create clear goal-scoring opportunities. Richards occasionally steps up to support attacks, but United maintain compact spacing and pressure anyone attempting to drive through central areas. In midfield, Casemiro continues to dominate defensively for United, breaking up Palace's passing sequences and providing cover for the back three. Fernandes drops into pockets between the lines to help circulate the ball, while Mount and Diallo constantly rotate positions to probe for weaknesses in Palace's structure. The balance of play remains delicate, with both sides cautious yet probing. The crowd senses the tactical battle unfolding. Palace fans call for more incisive passing and early crosses, while United supporters are encouraged by the composure of their defensive line and their ability to frustrate Palace's attacking intentions. The first 28 minutes illustrate a match defined by defensive discipline, midfield control, and tactical awareness. The game remains open, but Manchester United's defensive solidity has prevented Palace from turning their early energy into a tangible advantage. "32 minutes into the match and the scoreline is still 0-0, with the game continuing to reflect a careful balance between attack and defence. Crystal Palace remain proactive, looking to create openings on the wings. Pino and Sarr are frequently stretching the United defensive line, making intelligent diagonal runs behind Shaw and Dalot, while Maleta and Kamada attempt to link up through quick exchanges in the central zones. Despite these efforts, United's back three of De Ligt, Lammens, and Euro remain alert and disciplined, constantly communicating and shifting as a unit to cover spaces and prevent penetration. Manchester United continue to show patience in possession, circulating the ball through Casemiro and Fernandes to probe Palace's structure. Mount and Diallo move fluidly between central and wide positions, attempting to stretch Palace's midfield and find gaps for advanced passes. Casemiro is particularly effective in intercepting Palace transitions, breaking up early counters and quickly distributing the ball to maintain control. Shaw and Diallo are cautious but effective in tracking Pino and Sarr, neutralizing the threat of wide overloads. "33 minutes into the match and the deadlock is broken as Crystal Palace take the lead. The goal came from a penalty awarded after a strong challenge on Malaita inside the box by De Ligt, which the referee deemed a clear foul. The stadium erupts instantly as the fans rise to their feet, chanting and waving flags in celebration. The tension that had built over the first half of the game finds release in this moment of drama. "36 minutes into the match, the drama reaches its peak as the referee reverses his previous decision and finally awards Crystal Palace the goal. After consulting with the assistant referee and reviewing the situation once more, it was determined that the challenge on Maleta inside the box was indeed a foul, validating the penalty. The stadium erupts in uncontainable celebration as Palace fans leap to their feet, waving scarves and chanting in unison. The tension that had gripped Selhurst Park over the past few minutes is released in an explosive moment of joy. Maleta steps up confidently for the penalty, placing the ball carefully and striking it with precision toward the corner. Lamans guesses correctly but cannot reach the shot, and the ball nestles into the net. Palace take the lead 1-0, and the players rush to celebrate, embracing each other as the crowd roars approval. Pino and Sarr gesture toward the fans, fueling the energy on the pitch. "36 minutes into the match, Crystal Palace take the lead 1-0 thanks to a penalty. The decisive moment came after a challenge on Maleta inside the Manchester United box, which, after careful review by the referee and the assistant referee, was confirmed as a foul. The stadium erupts as Palace fans leap to their feet, cheering and waving scarves in celebration. The tension that had built up over the previous minutes is released in a wave of joy and relief. Maleta calmly steps up to take the penalty, places the ball carefully, and strikes it low and precise toward the corner. Lamans dives in the right direction but cannot reach it, and the ball hits the back of the net. Palace players rush toward Maleta to celebrate while the crowd chants in unison, creating an electric atmosphere in Selhurst Park. The goal gives Palace a clear psychological boost. Kamada and Geni control the midfield with greater authority, dictating the tempo and shielding the defence, while Richards, Munoz, and Wharton remain vigilant to prevent any United counter-attacks. Pino and Sarr continue to press on the wings, exploiting spaces created by the increased confidence in Palace's play. Manchester United quickly regroup after conceding. Fernandes encourages his teammates to stay focused, while Casemiro positions himself to help control the midfield and initiate counter-attacks. Mount and Diallo probe the flanks carefully, looking for opportunities to stretch Palace's defensive line, and Shaw and Diallo balance forward movement with defensive responsibilities. With Palace leading 1-0 from the penalty, the match now shifts dynamically. The home side look to consolidate their advantage while United must respond, creating an exciting and tense period as the first half approaches its midpoint. The goal has injected drama and intensity into the match, setting the stage for a tactical and emotional battle in the coming minutes. As the match approaches the 45th minute, Crystal Palace maintain their 1-0 lead, and their dominance over Manchester United has become even more evident. The home side have controlled much of the game since Malaita's penalty, dictating the pace and direction of play. Kamada and Geni continue to dominate the midfield, winning key duels, intercepting passes, and launching forward balls to the wings. Pino and Sa remain lively on either flank, frequently testing Shaw and Dalot with quick combinations and bursts of pace, keeping the United defence under constant pressure. Palace's back three of Richards, Munoz, and Wharton have stayed solid and well organised, limiting clear chances for United. Lacroix provides additional defensive security and has been effective in reading United's diagonal balls, ensuring the team maintains balance while pushing forward. The home side have displayed composure and tactical discipline, pressing aggressively when possession is lost and recycling the ball efficiently when in control. Manchester United are struggling to establish any sustained attacking rhythm. Fernandes and Casemiro attempt to circulate possession through midfield, but Palace's compact defensive lines and pressing make it difficult to find gaps. Mount and Diallo try to exploit the flanks, but Palace's wing players, combined with tracking from Munoz and Richards, have prevented any meaningful penetration. Lamens, De Ligt, and Euro remain alert, but the initiative clearly lies with the home side. The atmosphere in Selhurst Park is electric, with fans fully engaged, celebrating every interception, tackle, and forward move by their team. As the first half draws to a close, Crystal Palace lead 1-0 and have established psychological and tactical control over the match. The half-time whistle is approaching, and the home side will be looking to consolidate their advantage, while Manchester United must find a way to regroup and respond after a dominant 45 minutes from Palace. As the match approaches the 45th minute, Crystal Palace maintain their 1-0 lead, and their dominance over Manchester United has become even more evident. The home side have controlled much of the game since Malaita's penalty, dictating the pace and direction of play. Kamada and Geni continue to dominate the midfield, winning key duels, intercepting passes, and launching forward balls to the wings. Pino and Sa remain lively on either flank, frequently testing Shaw and Dalot with quick combinations and bursts of pace, keeping the United defence under constant pressure.
Every match, every league, every day, KO7 Football Predictions delivers the insights you need fast, simple, and reliable. From Premier League to Champions League, today's matches to tomorrow's fixtures, KO7 puts the power of predictions in your hands. Download now and step into the future of football predictions with KO7. Every match, every league, every day, KO7 Football Predictions delivers the insights you need fast,